A pleasant good morning from the Legacy Initiative by Gerard Hepburn. Today's message is called The Grace of God, right? And the reading is actually taken from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. And it says, "And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Right? Now, I actually also want to do this thing where I actually go and do a quick wiki post with what is the grace of God. And the wiki description basically just simply says, the grace of God, grace is a gift from the Heavenly Father given through His Son, Jesus Christ. The word grace, as used in the scriptures, refers primarily to enabling power and spiritual healing offered through the mercy of the love of Jesus Christ, right? The grace of God helps us every day. Now, that's just a quick wiki definition of what's the grace of God, right? Now, in the midst of this or whatever, the writer of back to the scripture now, the writer of the scripture basically said, he said something that is very interesting, right? He says, "Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me." Now, your infirmities are also considered your weaknesses because that's the bad parts about you. And he basically said that in the midst of his weakness, he glorified, he was happy for his weaknesses or whatever, because because in the midst of his weakness, he wasn't a proud person at the time. He was very weak. He was very humbled, right? Because you find weakness and being humbled is also considered a sign of weakness, which is actually a sign of strength. But in the midst of it, he was happy that he was so weak because the grace of God, the presence of God would rest upon him or whatever. And that presence, that presence that come over you is actually a form of, it's just like a peace. It's just like a form of just strengthening you. And I believe that the writer of the book of Corinthians, he was in a state of happiness just because he really, like, just the fact of having God to basically release a certain presence on him, to strengthen him, to just to be with him, because God has to be with you if he's putting his grace and his mercy and strengthening you. Like, if he's doing all that, he has to be with you. And I feel as though he was just happy. So he was happy to have God to basically actually have his eye on him, right? So I'm like thinking it through of how I would feel to know that God put basically focused on me for a second, a second of my life. A second of my life. I have to say it, a second of my life, because we can't never like calculate what a day in God's life is, you know? But a second of my life or whatever, to say, hey, here it is, stand over me, and he just put down his grace and mercy upon me and say, I see that you're weak. I see that you're humble. I see that you're going through sometimes the worst storm of your life. But just want to let you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not going through this by yourself. God, not referring to me, but I'm speaking as God. God, I'm here with you in the midst of your storm. And it's just so crazy, because for me, when I was going through the worst part of my storms or whatever, like, I still go through my storms here and there, but the worst part of my storms was when I was going through the worst part of my storm, there were moments in the midst of it where I felt an actual presence, like almost like I could feel the tightness of someone's grabbing hold of me and lifting me up when I wanted to fall to my knees and cry. And it was like the message in my head is keep on coming to me saying, be strong, Gerard, stand in the midst of it. I swear to you, I was falling to my knees and physically falling to my knees, about to break down crying, and this presence came over me and it would not let me cry. I could not cry. I wanted to, I swear to you not, like, literally thinking about it or whatever, like, it's starting to kind of bring up tears, because it's damn, it is. It was just so powerful for me, because the crazy thing is, the moment that it happened, I'm actually, even though I'm in my car, in my truck, I'm actually in the spot that I was when the presence of God came over me and helped me through one of the worst times in my life. And I'm like, I swear to you, like, I'm actually in the same spot. I'm on the same driveway that I was when it happened, and I couldn't cry, and I wanted to fall to my knees because the weight of everything I was going through was just too much for me to bear. And I learned to stand in the midst of something that in normal cases would kill me. If I and it's actually it that what I went through, and just thinking about it now, everything that I went through, whatever, it makes me stronger. But I could tell you this right now from the bottom of my heart that if I was faced with that again, I would just run. I would ask for my own death. I swear to you, like that's just thinking about everything that I went through my storm. I'm afraid to go back to that. It's I can't go back to that. I don't want to go back to that. It was a nightmare for me. It was a real utter nightmare. But staying on topic and trying to go through it or whatever, that for me, that was how God did it. There were other times when God just, man, just it's hard to explain when when you feel the presence of God come in your life, and when you kind of reflect back on it and stuff, that you feel happy, like how the writer of Second Corinthians feels when he looks back at his weaknesses and saying, God was able to come in the midst of it. And then that's the spiritual aspect of it. But then when you look at the real part of it or whatever, and you look back at your life, you look back at the storm, you're like, dude, how did I make it through it? How did I go through this and was able to make it here to this point? And that is nothing that you had to do it. You couldn't do it. You can't brag. You can't boast about it. You can't just take it and say, oh yes, I did it. No, you humbly cast it on to somebody else. No, that's God. I don't want no part of that. And I can tell you right now, for me, when I look back at it, I don't want no part of trying to basically say that, oh, this shows how strong I am, because no, I am not. I'm not strong. If I look back at trying to go through that again, no, I don't. Take me to the hills. I want to run to the hills, because I can't. No, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to go through what I went through. It's like my biggest fear right now is going through what I went through, losing a child, potentially going through a divorce, and watching my life just be ripped apart. Everything that I really care about is ripped apart. I don't want to go through that again, and I look now at what's happening today with the George Floyd situation in America, and it's the grace of God is coming over our family, because though you're seeing a ton of people actually now showing their anger, showing their hurt and their pain for what's happening in America, not just to other Black people, but to someone in your own family, to George Floyd's family and stuff like that. I know that they feel strong because they know that their whole country is behind them, right? A whole country. Now, it don't have to be every individual of the country, but there are people behind them that shares in their pain. It's kind of like right now, for some people who going through a storm, whatever, and they know, like, oh, Gerard is here with me as well. Like, he knows, he kind of understands a little bit of what I'm going through, or at least how I feel and stuff like that, because I went through suicidal depression as well and stuff like that. Like, I was down. I couldn't, some days I couldn't get up to work or whatever. My bed was the best thing for me. Like, it was like safe haven. And the only other thing was I would take long baths just under hot water or cold water and just like zone out. So I know a lot of people go through depression, said that they kind of feel the same way, so they understand how I felt when I was going through it. But you also feel like you're not alone in the midst of your storm. You're not alone that you're going through, because someone else has been through it, and that's one of the reasons why I continuously now try to do my videos, and it's like starting to come up where I do it like every 2-3 days, because I don't want to lose this again. Like, I'm angry at myself for not doing a video during the coronavirus pandemic situation, even though I know it's not done. But not doing one when a lot of people needed it. But I told myself I'm not gonna stop now. That was it. That was the one time I stopped it. I'm not gonna do it now again. But it's just looking at it that, you know, the people who going through, the people who feel hurt, the black community, and or better speaks better would be the minorities or whatever, is God's gonna release a particular grace over you guys that you're gonna be able to do it. Now, the saddest part about it is you judge so many people. You judge so many people, like particular cops, because all cops are not bad cops. And I understand that if, let's say they said that someone made a post on Facebook saying that if there are 1,000 good cops and 10 bad cops, and you don't stand up to the 10 bad cops, then there's 1,010 bad cops, because you guys all are one, right? Just like how we should all be one, you're all one. And if you're taking up for that one bad one, then you're just as bad. Just like the Asian cop who was in the situation when the police officer was on George Floyd's neck and stuff like that. He didn't say anything. He didn't stop him. He didn't do anything. He stood back and watched as the man was crying, as George Floyd was crying for his life and stuff like that. And so that makes him a bad cop, even though he might not have physically participated in it. His participation was no participation at all, causing him to be a bad cop. And it's the same with every person right now, every black person, minorities, even white people or whatever, that if you don't stand up for this or whatever, because you see it being wrong, seeing wrong happen or whatever, you're just as bad. We have to say something about it. We have to stand together and as a unified body and say, no, something needs to be done. Because if the roles were reversed, where all the black people started attacking white people, right? Or they killing white people for what their just reason, or their just cause and stuff like that, and they weren't receiving the same extent of the law the way that the black people received the extent of the law and stuff like that. Like, how would you basically feel? You'd feel unfair and cheated every day of your life. You'd be like, a black man could kill me or whatever, and he could basically go home to his family, and that's not fair. Because what about my family? Is my family less important than your family? No, it's less important to you because it's my family, but your family is more important to you because that's what's yours. You hold dearly. You don't have emotional ties to my family the way that I would have emotional ties. I mean, that you would have emotional ties to your family. Of course not. But that's basically what everybody is fighting for. Now, I do support the protests. I do support the Black Lives Matter thing, but I don't support like just the riots and the utter destruction. You know, like a lot of people say that, you know, black people have every right to burn down a building or a country basically that they helped build off their backs, you know, in their blood and sweat and stuff like that, you know, because of the whole slavery stuff. But I don't really agree with that, because at the same point in time, there are black people that work there, that actually their family depend on it. So you affected their family. You have some people like that, you have interracial relationships and stuff like that, where they might have a business and you go and you destroy the business, or you might even destroy another black person's business and stuff like that, and who might not even have the slightest problem with blacks, whites, or any minorities and stuff like that, and you just destroyed their business. That's what their life, their work on it. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not their fault that at a particular point in time in history that they were able to build up to get to where they're at. Okay? We can't be blamed for the things that, let's say, our forefathers did. You know? We only can be blamed for what we do. And I feel as though that's one of the most powerful messages in the midst of this whole situation, is that we as present living beings right now have the chance to make a change now. That's what's most important. And another thing that I'm also really upset about is they say they want justice and they want peace. And for me, I'm like, I don't agree with that. You just want justice and peace, because I don't want justice and peace. I don't want just that. I want justice. I want peace. I want laws put in place to protect minorities from hate crimes, right? And I want like this. I basically want equality. I want people to be put in place, and that who are gonna protect our interests. And is it's so crazy about everything that's happening right now is that all these people are so quick to go try and copy the Million Man March, right? Which is great. It's amazing. Everybody want to be Martin Luther King, but when it comes time for election time and time to vote, the mayor or the mayor to represent you, your city and stuff for that, no one shows up. When it comes time to vote for a president, they don't want to show up. And I feel as though if you can have that same energy when in the midst of something happening, but you don't want to vote for put people in power that's gonna look out for your best interests at heart, regardless of how they choose to manipulate the system and stuff for that, but at least just stand up and try vote and stuff for that stuff. I feel as though that's the only way that we're gonna start to get it. Now, this is also one of the things that this is the only part I probably don't like about Barack Obama, and I felt like he's a great president. But I feel as though as a black president, I don't feel as though he put stipulations or things in place fully to protect the minorities. Because if we had laws put in place singly to protect, like wholesomely protect minorities in situations like this and stuff like that or whatever, and putting punishments in place and stuff like that, things would be different. Because black people or minorities get that punishment. We definitely get that punishment. But because the country is, sorry to say, but it's really run by white people or whatever, and that's no prejudice to them or whatever, no prejudice against white people or no hate towards white people in general and stuff, that unfortunately or whatever, that they don't get the same stipulation. It is what it is. But I just feel as though for anybody who has this message, I feel as though you don't be quick to rally and don't be quick to protest if you ain't about to vote. Like, that's what makes it so important to vote. That's what people cry about. Go out and vote. Let your voice be heard. Right? And that's a peaceful way to do it. To get Trump out of Trump, if you blame the racism on Trump, you blame it on whoever it could be. But vote. And I'm sorry for bringing Trump name up in it, because you shouldn't single him out, even though he's like, they call him the head leader, huncho in this situation. But move the people who needs to be moved out. Put the people who need to be put in place. They have police chief, police superintendent of what they call elections as well. Be a part of it. You have to be a part of it in order to make change. In order to have people put in power, you gotta go out and vote. You have to be a part of your community. That's the only way it's gonna be done. But just I know I'm almost approaching 20 minutes on this video, because the whole George Floyd thing. But I just want to go back to the families of George Floyd and to people who lost families to these hate crimes or whatever. Man, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, and I share your anger. I share your pain. I really do, because it could be me, and it could also be you. And I don't want it to ever be me, and I don't want it to ever be you. It's just a shame that this thing happened. But God's grace is sufficient, and you have to trust that He's going to heal that wound in the midst of your weakness. He's going to strengthen you in the midst of that weakness, and in the midst of the people who are going through their storms. Whatever your storm may be, God is there for you. But if you don't recognize it and you just brush it off, you're never going to be able to be like me and the writer of 2 Corinthians, where I could actually be happy for the weaknesses that we're going through. I could be happy for the storm that I went through. Because look at who I am now. Look at who the writer became. All the apostles, they became great men. All the writers in the Bible became great men. And their focus was God. That's like, for me, my focus is God. So that's why I do my videos. And it's not for me to get all this fame and glory from it or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I do want a lot more people to watch. I do want more views and all that stuff, because I feel like my presence is my voice is being heard. I feel like what I'm saying or whatever is affecting a lot of people, and it's getting to a lot of people. Yes, of course, I do. Nobody want to talk to themselves, but at the same time, I I want God to really get all of the glory for it, and that's where my focus is. And for you, when you're going through your storm, if you focus on God, you're gonna get all of that, and you're gonna get a lot more. You can't we don't know, we can't measure the amount of grace and favor that God gives us, and the plans that He has in store to give us more favor. But if you trust in Him and you obey Him and you just stay focused on Him or whatever, He will reveal so many things to you, and He has started revealing things to me, to me as well. Since I started these videos again, man, like, I can't stop working. It's just too much work, which means more work means should be more pay, more money for me to one day become the breadwinner of my own family, you know? But that's how it goes. But I pray that God will strengthen you guys in the midst of your storm, in the midst of your weaknesses. And I pray that He will guide and protect you guys. Just want to let you guys know that I love you. God loves you. I'm proud of you. You can do anything and you're beautiful. All right. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there with the whole coronavirus thing. Stay safe out there with the whole protesting thing, you know? And if you see someone doing something they shouldn't be doing, man, say something. Don't just pull out your camera and just record it. Even though the recording of it is good in the sense of someone is seeing it, I mean, you're able to post it to say, just to support the evidence behind it, but at the same point in time, man, say something and do something. All right? Have a great day. I love you. Bye.